the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Remember our troops abroad and their families home here at home, and also for the passing of Mrs. Hines. Thank you. First item on our agenda is workshop discussions. We don't have anything written, but there is one topic I'd like to bring up, and that is forming a sort of like an ad hoc committee to start in January of 7 to 9 people that would report back to the council maybe the end of October on suggestions and recommendations regarding the beachfront and the buildings up at the beachfront. You know, have them obviously meet amongst themselves, but also bring in some architects and other folks who may or may not have suggestions about things we should do. So what I'd like to do is at our reorganization meeting, which is going to be Thursday, January 3rd, to appoint those, again, 7 to 9 people. So if the council would like to email me with folks that they would, recommend or suggestions, I think that we should have one member of the council on it. The one person who's been really helpful, with the boardwalk and stuff so far, and born and raised here, is Brian McGovern, so he seems to be a natural person to have on that committee. But I think we should limit it to one member of the council, and let the other members be either members of either Arts Council, Environmental Commission, someone from the business community maybe, someone from certain sections of town. So if the council doesn't object to that, to email me suggested names, and maybe the reason why you think that person. And then on a reorganization, I'll propose a list and take it from there. But any objections to that from members of the council as far as forming minutes? All right. That's all I have for workshop. Any petitions from the public for the council? No petitions. Next, we'll have the approval of the minutes.
Do we have that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to skip the approval of the minutes till next week. So next will be reports of council. Councilman McGovern.
How about if I go first? Okay. Last night I attended the annual end of the year meeting for the Historical Council meeting, Historical Council Society, and as we all know, they were hit very hard, like all of us. But all of their officers have agreed to stay in their positions and start again from the ground up, working on reclaiming all the history artifacts that they have and trying to recover lost items. So it was a real good annual meeting to see that they're broken, but they haven't quit. And the history of Belmar will continue under good hands of President Naomi Reisner and Secretary Pat O'Keefe. On Monday, I was invited out to a meeting to the Building Trades Hall in Walt Township. And I was listening to them talk, and they were very pleased with the borough of Belmar because they understand that for our boardwalk, we have a PLA, a project labor agreement in place that they're very appreciative of. And what this PLA does is it makes sure that all the workers are paid a prevailing wage. So anyone that's going to be working on the Belmar boardwalk will be working at prevailing wage. They don't have to be a union member. It could be union or non-union, as long as they're paid a prevailing wage. what this does, it ensures that as much local workers are going to be used on the boardwalk, and we can be sure that there won't be any work slowdowns because there's not a union worker on it, as long as we pay them prevailing wage. There won't be any strikes, so nothing will be slowing down our boardwalk once the work begins, because we have this PLA in place. One thing that I did learn is that in our PLA, and this is another part that they were surprised that we had in our PLA, was we have a program called Helmets to Hard Hats, and it encourages former military people to get involved and become apprentices and get into the trades. So we're going to encourage as much as possible former military people to work on the rebuilding of our boardwalk through our PLA. And that's basically my report. But they were very happy with Belmar and the fact that we were out there supporting the PLA with prevailing wage. So,
Thank you, Council. Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Monmouth County Health Department, in collaboration with the Mayor's Wellness Campaign, will be administering free flu shots and free tetanus shots here in this room next Wednesday, December 19th, from 1 until 3. Flu shots are for individuals 9 years and older, and the tetanus is for people 18 years and older. I didn't have much of a time frame to put that word out to the community, so if you know of anyone who might be interested, please pass that information along. I just got word of this yesterday, so I'm trying to get it out there. Christine Stoner of the Mayor's Wellness Campaign Committee is a member of the Belmar Elementary School's newly created Health Council. She'll be working on the committee along with fellow members to design programs and activities that foster healthy lifestyles in our children. The Belmar Public Library is open for basic lending services. The basement is not in use at this time, and the elevator is not operational. There is curbside service for people unable to climb the front steps of the building. Also, if getting into the front door is difficult, you can call the library at 732-681-0775, and you'll be able to check out and return books from your car. A staff member will assist you. Belmar's ADA committee will be meeting tomorrow evening at the library upstairs at 6 p.m. We will be reflecting on the accomplishments of this year and setting goals and plans for 2013. All are welcome to attend. A borough-sponsored luncheon, holiday luncheon for seniors will be held tomorrow, beginning at 11 a.m. at Connolly Station. Kelly Williams, our Social Services Director, Mary Brabazon, our Tourism Director, and Tina Connolly, Recreation Director, have been planning the event. Wanted to recognize Councilwoman Jen Nicolay and her sidekick, Mr. Pfeiffer, for their continuing efforts in assisting those residents suffering from the storm and its aftermath. As of this past Saturday, Jen and Mr. Pfeiffer were still hard at work in the borough gym, sending volunteers to homes that were still in need of cleanup assistance. So she's been on the job with that for many, many weeks, so I'm very, very proud of her. And she had the children in there, her Julia and her Jack, just enjoying running around the gym, so that was nice of them too. We must also thank the volunteers who are so generous with their time as they continue to assist our residents in their times of need. Just amazing people still coming out to help us. It's incredible. I wanted to share with you that residents are constantly approaching me, some whom I don't know, I'm sorry to say, praising our borough employees who were so wonderful in helping during the storm's aftermath. Our police and DPW staffs have been and still are so very supportive with all that's been going on during and after the hurricane. The outreach from our borough employees has been outstanding. I couldn't be more proud. Also, as you know, we have a little local breast cancer support group that is not borough affiliated, but it's something that I've been involved with since its inception. We raise money through donations, and we have a concert fundraising concert, and we will be donating $500 to each of the following places: Mary's Place, a respite spot for women undergoing cancer treatment; A Time for Me, an organization sponsoring day trips and weekends for people in treatment; and the Cancer Support Community in Eatontown. Why am I mentioning this to you? I want to thank all of those who supported us through the monetary donations or by attending our fundraising spring concert. We did very, very well with our Bash for Cash, so I thank you, Jace, as well. These donations are being made in memory of Barbara Smith and Diana Confort, members of the Belmar Cares, who lost their battle with breast cancer, with this disease, in 2011. So we miss them, and they were wonderful, very strong, courageous ladies. But we will remember them. Also, because Diana was not only a member of Belmar Care, she was on the library board here, we will be having a plaque in her memory. It's a beautiful plaque, soon to be hung in the library with her name, and I think the words on it are courageous. Do you remember, Carl, what we put on that? Courageous and outstanding, or dedicated.
Never ending, and
Yeah.
she just never,
Yes.
she never stopped.
Yeah, so
She
we
never
have that
stopped,
plaque in there, and it was funded by the Belmar Library, so I appreciate that very much. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Any council president? Councilman Bean?
Thank you, Mayor. One quick question. A citizen approached me, he called me and asked about a charity or giving away, I guess, some of the money that was donated to us, and if there was a list and what the criteria was. I believe he spoke with April and Kelly today. I had no information on it. Is there a charity or anything going out, or something about the electricity being on after a certain date? I really had no idea what to tell him, and is there?
Kelly Williams, our social services is putting together a list of folks, and we have to be very careful how we allocate anything people give us, whether they're gift cards or they're... We're stopping at that, right? Whether they're gift cards, which we got tens of thousands of dollars of gift cards, or checks and money we receive. So, we have to come up with an objective criteria to distribute that, so we can defend it to the Department of Community Affairs that oversees all funds for all municipalities. So what we came up with was, at 5 o'clock on November 12th, 99% of Belmar had power. There are still people today who don't have power. There's still people today that are dislocated, or displaced, anyway. But what we figured was anyone and everyone, and we have the addresses, which is nice, for a owner-occupied property, or if you're the tenant, would be eligible for whatever relief we have to give them after that point. And we wouldn't take income into account. So if you're of substantial means, and hopefully you would say, I don't need that $300 or whatever it is, please give somebody else. But if you're a typical middle-class family or low-income folks, it would be there for you, because we were all negatively impacted by Sandy. We all lost all the food in our refrigerators and freezers. But some people suffered worse than others. So to be objective about it, we have a list of all the properties in town that were without power after that time and date. So those are the ones that we want to target as eligible to receive the relief that we receive from all around the world.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilwoman McLean?
Just want to thank Claire for recognizing myself, but also John. I don't know if anybody has seen him in the gym, but again, he's been by my side for about 6 weeks. And just to give you an idea how long we have been there, my son is 4 years old, and he was walking by the building the other day with me and said, "Mommy, look, that's where you live." So I do have some time to make up to him. But I also want to thank Pat and John Hutchinson, Tom Brennan. You've all been a huge help. Just a few quick things. DPW, they're no longer picking up bulk garbage. We are back to the sticker program, so please place your bulk stickers on your items. DPW is clearing the storm drains, sewers. We've got the leaf machines going. and the brush crews are out picking up the brush. They're able to help people still in need if you can call 681-0452. They'll help as long as it's not hazardous or dangerous to their crew. Belmar Elementary School, they partnered with the council and gave out over 120 gift baskets to needy families last week. It was truly a great effort on their part. Donations are still being collected, and what they're doing is they're allowing every child in the school to pick out 2 items to give to their parents or an aunt or an uncle, so they're able to give gifts at Christmas time, so it's a nice program they have in place. They are collecting financial donations. They're hoping to have a year-end or a school year-end celebration called Belmar Strong on the beach once our boardwalk is ready and they can get back onto the beach with the students. Regrettably, the school was not awarded the Race to the Top grant. We were one of the top finalists, and we were number 33 out of 372 nationally, but they were not awarded the grant. So just an update on that. The students received 588 copies of a book called Story of the Storm. I don't know if anybody has children or grandchildren, but they were beautiful books that came from a school and students that were affected by Hurricane Katrina. And inside each book, a student wrote a note to one of the children in Belmar. So it was quite touching and a nice gesture. There's also a feature of our school on PBS, the segment highlighting the efforts that the school had done after the storm, and that can be found online in PBS NewsHour. Just search for Belmar Elementary School. I also want to thank everybody for coming out last night was it last night? Yeah, for the tree lighting. I thought it was a great success. It was nice, short notice for people to attend. One thing that really kind of hit me was a little boy was sitting on Santa's lap, and he asked what he wanted for Christmas, and he said he wanted to be back in his home. So please keep those people in your thoughts still. Thank you.
When she said it hit her, then she started crying.
I have Kyle's hanky to give back to you.
She always
So
cries.
thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
You're welcome.
A couple things about Ocean Avenue. Ocean Avenue is open now north of 5th. You'll see that there's still sifting sand, south of that, and they're still removing some of the extra debris. We've talked with the county, because it's a county road, although it's in our jurisdiction, and it's been closed down primarily for public safety reasons as they clean up the mess and haul away debris. But we're working with the county to have them come in with their barriers, some of them now newly painted, and put them down the middle of the street. Ocean Avenue is a pretty wide street, if you ever noticed. You have parking on both sides and then almost 3 lanes in between it. So it's almost like a 5-lane road. So what we're going to try to do is, once we start constructing the boardwalk, which we'll get to in a little bit, that's going to happen pretty soon, is to have the parking open on the west side of the road, and then have at least 1 lane open, possibly heading south. If we could do 2 lanes, we'd love to do that, that'd be ideal, but we gotta make sure that we don't impede on the contractor who's gonna be building the boardwalk in time for the summer. So obviously that's the priority, is to have the boardwalk done for the summer, but if we can have at least 1 lane and 1 area of parking, gives some relief to the businesses that have been so negatively impacted these past 6 weeks, which soon will be 8 weeks by the end of this month. Speaking of debris, just some interesting numbers. As of December 10th, we have hauled out 6,476 tons of material from Belmar to the landfill. Our sand is moving and sifting, that's all going on now. You'll see 2 sifters sifting sand up on the beachfront. And as Councilwoman Nicolay mentioned, that the debris pickup ceased last Friday. Also at our marina, and we didn't really talk a whole lot about it, but it got pretty beat up as well. We lost all our power. But through the hard work of Mike Campbell and his team, today they were able to get power restored to both JDOC and KDOC, and LDOC should be up tomorrow. Just to give you an idea, if you talk to mayors in other towns that have harbors, they got crushed. they lost boats. I mean, boats in Point Pleasant ended up on train tracks. We didn't lose any boats to the storm coming, or from the storms coming and going. But it did harm us with our electric power. So we still have more electric work to do, but right now, relative to other marinas, ours is in great shape. It still needs improvements, but it's still in much better shape. Everyone know that the library reopened? Not the basement. That's still got some challenges, but the building itself is open, and soon we're going to be replacing the elevator that was damaged as well. And also, for folks who live on 13th Avenue, have had to put up with some nasty water for a while. We're going to start that project, looks like on the 17th, with ground to be broken a few days later. This is an emergency product, or emergency project that shouldn't take a whole lot of time to complete once they get started. And that's all for my report. Let's move into resolutions. Well, we're going to open up a public session on the resolution calendar. And I'll kick this off. Because one of the resolutions, very important one, is awarding a contract for construction of the Belmar Boardwalk. We went out to bid on November 30th, and we've been aggressive about this from the get-go. From the start, we've been aggressive about the cleanup effort, the recovery effort, and now the rebuilding. And it paid off significantly so far. If you recall, our engineers estimated that the total construction of the boardwalk would be $17 million. And that's what the council approved for a bond measure. We approved $20 million, but of that $20 million, 17 was allocated for constructing the boardwalk. Our bids came in, we had 23 companies bid, outstanding companies. Some of them, you know, you see when you drive up and down the turnpike. Harms Construction, J.H. Reed, the folks who did the cleanup here. Who else? J. Fletcher Kramer, Sanzari. I mean, big companies, big outfits. And one of the ones that won it is also a pretty big outfit called Epic Construction. They're out of Piscataway, and their winning bid was $6,559,440. $6,559,440. That goes to prove two things. One, competitive bidding works, and two, you want to be the first ones out to get bids. So we're going to have that on for a resolution to award that to them, with the idea that we'll give them a notice to proceed later this month, and hopefully start driving pilings by the end of this month as well. If not, right at the beginning of the new year. Now, also in this contract, just to recall, there's a $100,000 bonus for them if they complete on time, which is April 30th. They miss April 30th, substantially complete. They lose the bonus, and they start getting fined at $7,500 a day. And again, this is an outfit that you can look them up online. We're going to post all this online as well, and also the other bidders and what they bid. I will tell you the top bidder came in a little over $19 million. So it ran the gamut, again, from 19.6 to essentially 6.6. A lot of 12 millions, a lot of 8 millions, 13 millions. But it's nice having 23 outstanding companies competing for our business, and us going out and getting the best price out there. In the same resolution, we're also going to be awarding them, and I want to take a minute to explain this. We're going to be awarding them the contract to build our, call it permanent dunes. So I can't say seawall anymore because it freaks people out. So the permanent dunes. We estimated that would cost, and this is where we're going to take 30-foot long pieces of steel, drive them into the ground about 26 feet, have them come out 4 feet, put sand on top of them, and then put plantings, grass, make it look visually attractive. But when we do get a storm surge, instead of the thing getting wiped away, it runs into a 30-foot piece of steel. We estimated that at $9 million. Epic came back, and this is all labor materials, by the way, so at $400,000 $4,526,000. Now, we're gonna award that to them tonight, but we're not gonna give them a notice to proceed because we don't have the blessing from FEMA yet that that's an approved hazard mitigation project. And that's gonna expire. So if, you know, we're gonna give them a notice to proceed on building the boardwalk. And we're not gonna give them a notice to proceed yet on the permanent dunes. And if we don't give them a notice to proceed within 30 days, we're gonna have to go out to rebid that. But in that time, that 30 days also gives us an opportunity to give a little bit more explanation to the residents as to what that would look like. Again, the idea being 30-foot long pieces of steel that get driven into the ground. When I say ground, into the sand. So it's not as if it's 4 feet off of the pavement on Ocean Avenue. So if you're on Ocean Avenue, you step up onto the boardwalk, and then you walk down a ramp onto the sand. So from the street, you're really not gonna see, it's not gonna be a 4-foot wall. It'll be below that, because it's already below grade, but it'll be 4 feet above the sand that's down there where the storm surge came. So again, even though that's in the resolution to award, there's no money for it, and they're not gonna proceed until we know from FEMA that we would get reimbursed. And also, and not to get anyone's hopes up, but we were on another conference call today with a separate FEMA official in the state of New Jersey, and he does believe that we will be, again, nothing on the record, that we should be getting 90% reimbursement as opposed to the 75%. But all along, we've always been very conservative and budgeted 75% reimbursement, meaning you would have to pick up the 25%. So if we only have to pick up 10%, that puts us in an even better financial position. But that's the one major resolution on for tonight. And I hope I explained it pretty well. But are there any questions, or questions from the council on that
Yeah.
resolution?
With this resolution, that does not include lighting, is that correct?
No, it does not include lighting. This is
Strictly bid.
This is to put in the pilings, to put in the things that go above the pilings and under the decking, and then put the deck. And the ramps that go up off the street and the steps, and the ramps that go down onto the sand and the steps. So electrical, plumbing, all that's gonna be extra, but, you know,
But that's still
this is by far
still within what we have allotted for, right?
way below anything
Yeah.
we anticipated.
Yep, great.
Just come up to the microphone, say your name and address for the record.
Just a question, Joan Carello, with all the numbers. Do we still have to finance $20 million in notes if we're coming in lower on some of these bids and that kind of a thing?
No, obviously, we wouldn't finance $20 million. We're only gonna finance whatever the cost of the project's gonna be. But the council authorized up to $20 million.
Right, okay.
So if it comes back and it's, you know, if the total is $6,559,440, and we don't do the seawall, that's all we do. With the seawall, which would be another $4,526,000, that would come to a total of $11,085,440. Now, remember, our original estimate was $17 million for the boardwalk,
And
another
three.
$9 million. So we were planning on $26 million. So we're significantly below what we're looking at. And again, a lot of that is you know, being aggressive, not waiting, and being the first ones to get these prices. And again, that's how we got 23 people bidding on this.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor, can I just interrupt? Epic Construction, I never heard of them, Kyle. Have they done any other work in the state of New Jersey?
They are a large construction firm. They specialize in large projects for schools, for sports stadiums, public parks.
What sports stadium?
Rutgers Stadium expansion was one of their more recent projects. They are a company that is familiar with PLA, uses the PLA. And again, well-reputed company. They're, in the words of our former administrator, big shot company.
Big shot. And one of the folks that I talked to, just to do some more due diligence on them and background, again, they're in Piscataway, so they do a lot of work in New Brunswick. And I have friends who work for a company called DevCo, New Brunswick Development Corporation. And Epic was was the construction manager on a big hotel there called they did the carpentry work, the building on the Hilder Center, which is a beautiful, brand new, relatively brand new hotel in New Brunswick. Yes, Steve?
Neil Scheck of 410 Fourth Ave. I had seen the $7,500 per day late charge, and I didn't think that was adequate to ensure that they would get the job done by summer, but now I see the $100,000 bonus for being done on time. I think that's the perfect solution, and now it makes much more sense to me. What kind of material are we talking now?
For the decking, we price it out both Trex material and E-Pay. E-Pay is hardwood that doesn't splinter like regular wood. It's stronger than Trex. Trex at the end of the day is composites, it's plastic. So you remember when you walked or you ran down the boardwalk, you would see kind of like, almost like potholes with Trex. Because it's not structurally, it's not there to hold anything. E-Pay, just to give you an idea, they have E-Pay on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. And the reason why is because if they ever need to have fire trucks drive on their boardwalk. Not that we'll ever, hopefully, have to have fire trucks on our boardwalk, but it makes it that much stronger of a boardwalk to withstand, again, something like Hurricane Sandy that destroyed the last one.
And this wouldn't be like the grooved surfaces that they had in Avon on the boardwalk?
That was the same wood, but they grooved it. So you can either groove it or not groove it. The advantage,
Let's not groove it.
well, the disadvantage to not grooving is it can be slippery. The advantage of grooving is it gives you a little bit of traction. So we'll have to see which way to go.
Okay. Regardless of the type of board, I've seen the design of the boardwalk. I think it's wonderful with a full 8-foot wide longitudinal strip down the middle, if I'm correct.
No, we're getting rid of that. Gotcha.
With the diagonal boards on either side, I think is better than a 90-degree angle diagonal, right?
Well, that's something, you know, there's two ways to look at, or to design the boardwalk, right? Again, as Neil said, in the middle will be 8 foot wide running north and south, which makes it ADA compliant, and it also makes it a lot easier to push a stroller. But on the sides, in the past, we had them at 90-degree angles. So what Neil's describing is where you, what's called herringbone. So they're kind of at a 45-degree angle. So it gives it a little bit more style than a typical boardwalk. But yeah, that's still to be determined.
The 8 foot is really great, and with the ramps onto the beach and onto the street at every block, this would be the most.
And that's a good point. Ramps onto the beach at every block, and then eventually we're going to put the mats out as the years go by to get them at every block as well.
It's wonderful. It should be a model for all the other boardwalks when they finally catch up to us. Thank you.
If they ever catch up. Any other questions on the resolution calendar? Yes, sir.
These are boardwalk questions?
Anything on the resolution calendar? So it could be other things on the resolution calendar, but boardwalk. Oh yes, boardwalk's on the resolution. Yes,
All right, Gene Kramer, 4th Avenue. I looked at the drawings. Is the boardwalk going to have a skirt on the roadway side?
yes.
Okay. Is it on the drawings? I didn't see it.
It may or may not be, but it will.
Okay. And that's included in the price?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
That's
good. The other question I had was, does the borough have the property owner's permission to rebuild the boardwalk?
Yes. Trick question. Yes, they do.
Excuse me?
We do.
Okay, because I noticed, from long ago, that actually more than half of the boardwalk is not actually on borough property. It's actually, and these drawings here, it's not a survey, but it appears that the property line is on there, but it's not labeled. The borough's property was at the front wall of Taylor Pavilion and at 13th Avenue at the front wall of the McDonald's or Matisse building. The other part is within Monmouth County's right-of-way. Do we have their permission to do this?
Yes.
And are there terms and conditions to that? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, sir.
Charles Bull, 1501 Ocean Avenue. They were the lowest bidder, correct?
That's correct.
Now the lights, do we have any idea how expensive that's going to be?
We have to go out to bid for that.
Okay, now, I'm curious about something else. Ferrara is doing a lot of the cleanup, right?
Yes.
Were they picked by, did they bid for that job, or?
No, they were chosen by our previous business administrator.
Okay, I thought that would have been open for bidding. Also, I put a call into Colleen about, when I said the boardwalk was being destroyed, and I thought a lot of that lumber could be reused, and she said that there were inspectors that inspected the lumber, and they said that it wasn't any good, that it had to be destroyed, but I never did get a call back, and I told you, would you send me a copy of a letter that stated, that they did inspect it, and they found out the boardwalk was not reusable. I know we're past that stage, but it just bothers me, because I still think about when I saw those boardwalk sections, when the storm first happened, that we could reuse that boardwalk again, but she said no, and then I put a call into you, I think, Friday of last week, and I thought maybe you would send me a document through the mail, or call me on the phone and let me know who the inspectors were. I would have liked to have known that, I think everybody would, actually. Who were they? Who were the inspectors? I'm sure they signed off on it.
She'll contact me with that information.
Okay. Well,
Yes, sir.
back to doing the time.
Yes, Brendan Reed, 109th Avenue. Just a couple of questions regarding the seawall. So I take it you're waiting for FEMA approval on that design?
Well, not to get too far into the weeds, but it actually goes through the state of New Jersey, has to approve it on a list of other hazard mitigation projects that are competing for FEMA dollars.
And the design that you have, the design's been used in similar locations for preventing of surges?
This is what our engineers came up with. I don't know where else it's been used, but that's the design.
So you're hoping to get the approval sometime before the notice runs out?
I mean, we'd like to get it as soon as possible, within 30 days, but there's no guarantee of it. That's why it's, while we're going to award it, we're not going to give the notice to proceed until we know that we would be reimbursed for it.
Great.
That would be one of the projects that we're reimbursed for.
Great, and we're also looking forward to the reopening of Ocean Avenue as well. Thank you.
We're working on it. Yes, David.
Very casual tonight,
I
okay?
apologize for my time.
David Shack, 302 C Street. Couple of questions. First of all, I have a couple of questions about the boardwalk, but the SID resolution, that's
Oh, yeah, that's on.
now too, so
Well,
that's,
on. Well, the SID resolution is simply a resolution introducing the special improvement district budget so that it can be discussed in January. So it's not being.
oh, so you're not voting on the budget, the SID budget
No, we're
tonight?
simply voting to schedule it, again, we don't have the date yet, but it'll be scheduled in January, and that's when we'll have a full hearing on it.
Okay, so I'll let that go, I'll complain about it in January. Actually, somebody, a friend of mine, heard you on the radio, you were on 101.5 the other day or something, is that right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and you said that FEMA requires union labor in order to, is that right? I didn't hear firsthand, this is just what somebody told me. Does FEMA require you to use union labor or only to pay prevailing wage?
Well, it's prevailing wage, but prevailing wage is set by the unions in the area.
Right.
So you don't, like Councilman Bjorn said, you're not required to use union labor, but
It's just as expensive as union
it doesn't
labor.
matter. And
Yeah.
also, if you don't do a PLA, you risk strikes and work stoppages. Which
Right.
again, if this thing wasn't gonna get completed until 2015, that's fine, but to try to do this in 4 or 5 months, it would not be prudent at all to not have a PLA.
But actually, it's up to the construction company, really, right?
Not
Like,
in this case,
what-
no, we're requiring it.
Right, but that's part of the bid. They understand
Yeah, oh, they understand, yeah.
that's what they have to pay, so,
Yeah, all 23 understood.
yeah, okay, good. That's great news, by the way, about that it turned out to be much cheaper than we thought. Yeah, that's really wonderful. Just two more questions. The permanent dune, how far, is that gonna be like where the old dunes were, like right near the boardwalk, or?
The idea is to put it as close to the boardwalk as possible.
So that'll be like behind the lockers, right? Like in between, it'll be in between the lockers and the boardwalk, just like the old dunes were, right?
Right. Otherwise, you'd be carrying your stuff over the dune to get.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Okay, all right, that's it, thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions on the resolution calendar? Wait 1 second, sir. Yes,
Tom Brennan, 411th Avenue. Can you hear me?
gotta come up, Tom.
Sorry. So I have a question about the e-pay wood. Then, in the past, there have been issues of rainforest depletion associated with the harvesting of e-pay wood. Now, I know that they have, some people, there are some sustainable sources for e-pay wood. Do we know if that's the kind we're getting? Because it would be really ironic if, like, in rebuilding our boardwalk, we did something that would contribute to global warming, the same kind of thing that led to the storm, I think, in the first place.
You want to answer that?
Yes, and so there are many different vendors who supply the e-pay.
Okay.
We are looking at all of them
Mhm.
for the best prices, but we are encouraging our lowest bidder to go with the companies that do replace and replenish.
Great.
So if they provide rainforest wood or rainforest hardwood, they would replace in kind. So
Good.
they do
Oh,
have
yeah.
timings.
Thank you.
Okay.
Right,
Thank
thanks.
you. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Second question.
Getting back to the boardwalk, well, 1501. 19 million was the projected figure, correct?
No. 7 million.
Oh, 17 million, okay. So we went from 17 to 11. I mean, that's what we're being charged, 11 million, am I correct?
No. Well, what's your question?
Well, my question is that in addition to the boardwalk, and okay, the figure I got at the last meeting was 19 million, and we'd have to come up with 5 million, and you're gonna float a bond, at least that's what I thought I heard. Maybe I was wrong on that. But my question is, how much is it really? I mean, is it 19, or is it gonna be higher, is it gonna be lower?
It's gonna be low.
The lights, everything together?
Yeah, we spent $10 million on lights, so they're the most amazing lights of all time.
Okay. But we still don't know exactly how much money we have to come up with, is that correct? Could be 90%, could be 75%.
90% or 75%, what do you mean? Reimbursement?
Yeah, I mean, like, how
Right,
much,
well, no, but remember, we're budgeting.
how much is Belmar gonna have to come up with? What's the net figure for
We're
Belmar?
budgeting everything at 25%. If we end up having to do it only at 10%, then great. That's obviously better for us.
And, which brings my last question. You said that taxes will not be affected next year.
Correct.
Well, what about the following year and years after that? Will taxes never be affected?
Never. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Come on down.
Chris Walters, 14th Avenue. I have a quick question. I didn't read the large document or anything like that, but I noticed that I took my kids to the park over the marina by the tennis courts, and I think there used to be a boardwalk along there. Is that going to be replenished? I know the timeline is not as pressing as oceanfront, but is that part of this bid? Is that going to be replaced the same way? Is not as needed?
Not part of this bid. It's
Okay.
not as grand in scope. When I say grand, I mean, it's equally as important.
Right.
But
Even from a
it's
storm
not as large.
right?
A project. That's something that, I mean, I don't want to speak right now for our DPW, but that may be something that they could do in-house.
That's fine. And I just wasn't sure. It just, like I said, I went to the park today, and I noticed it was missing, and I wasn't sure if that was, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
On that point that he just made.
I don't know, sorry.
Okay.
For continuity. David Marola, 817 12th Avenue. Does any of this money go towards the buildings on the boardwalk, the pavilions?
No, this is purely just to build the boardwalk. This summer, we anticipate having to rent bathroom facilities. The expense of that, they'll be covered under the, the typical operating budget. And then for folks like you that have businesses up on the beachfront, We'd like to figure out how we can get some trailers, you know, they have some types of trailers at the Asbury Park. You know, even when we get something like that for a season. I mentioned before, we're gonna form a committee, to make, recommendations to the council. You know, they'll start in January of 2013 and conclude October 2013, with what type of buildings we wanna replace. Again, we'll be limited as far as the size, because you can only do the same footprint, but, you know, are there any buildings you wanna do two stories? Is there anything you wanna put on a roof? It's
Where
open
would
for
this
discussion.
money though come from, for those buildings?
That would also be reimbursable from FEMA if we replace what was there. So if we replace the Taylor Pavilion, same size, same square footage, so just one story, you know, we'd either get 75%, or let's say we got 75%, the other 25% would have to come from us. If we did 2 stories on a building like that, they would only reimburse for 75% of the cost for the first story. We would have to eat 100% of the cost of the second story.
On the topic of the temporary trailers, it's not the right time to ask, or can I ask at the public session at the end of the day?
What's this for?
The temporary trailers you mentioned,
That's part of the ball. Budget.
you mentioned that you might be getting temporary trailers. Would you have any time frame on maybe knowing when you could get that? Because, being a business person up there, I was wondering if it was possible for the individual businesses to get their own trailers, just to put it out there.
That'd be, that'd be, that, we could definitely entertain that. I think that actually ended up being helpful, because we obviously have a lot of other things going on.
Right.
Tonight's a big night in that we are gonna award the contract, but then it starts working. And once projects start, you know, there's always gonna be challenges
Right.
along the way. So, yeah, I mean, if you could find out research on trailers, we would certainly love to hear about that. And, you know, maybe we end up working out some type of lease where you get the trailer, you put it there, and obviously you would pay less than if we had to get the trailer and put it there. But yeah, that's, I think every business owner that was up on the boardwalk should think like you.
We would just need a time frame for that, because getting the trailers is something you'd have to do, you know, the winter time to get them.
Totally understand that, yeah. It's something I think we'd have to have wrapped up by the end of January.
Okay.
Could I just ask you, Mr. Mayor, is it your idea that we would replace all the civilians in 1 year? Or would we do that? You know, I'm saying, what I'm thinking is, if money, and hopefully it won't become an issue, could we do 1 year and then, you know, rebuild in a timely fashion, but perhaps not all in 1 year, depending on the finances? This is just something, I just wondered what your idea was for that.
Ideally, I think that it'd be great to have all the buildings done by Memorial Day weekend of 2014. But you're right, if feasibly we can't do that, it's not, you know, we'd like to do that. You know, especially for those small business owners to get them back up and running. But if we're not able to, you know, it's not as bad as not having the boardwalk for this summer.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yes, Steve?
Since the gentleman extended the boardwalk discussion to McCleary Park, when that's
Well, there was a
reconstructed.
boardwalk at McCleary Park, that's why.
There was. And that was a sore point with me ever since it was built, because of the crossboards construction is extremely bumpy, totally worthless for most people in wheelchairs. It's just too bumpy. So please, when you reconstruct it, don't do what Spring Lake's doing. I begged them after Hurricane Irene not to rebuild their boardwalk in that bumpy fashion. They did it anyway, and now they're going to do it again. But please, let's not do that at McCleary Park.
Neil, as chair of the ADA, if you would like to sit with me at some point to discuss the type of boardwalk you'd like to see over there,
Sure.
I'd be happy to sit with you, because we have concerns along those lines as well.
Great. Thank you.
Okay? You're welcome.
Tom?
Good evening. Tom Rogers, Clayton Drive, Wall Township. I also own and operate a business on Ocean Avenue. I was curious on when the beginning stages of the boardwalk, will they start on the southern end, the northern end? Do you have any idea, any clue? Just fill us in.
They're gonna start right in front of 16th and Ocean.
Thanks for the good answer, sir.
And I feel very sorry.
That's a very good answer.
You know, talking with them today, they're gonna sit and talk with us and see what we'd like. They may end up doing 3 stages. the most southern part, the most northern part, and in the middle. And in the middle, they'll either take north or south. But they're not sure yet. But it's not gonna start on First Avenue and work its way to 20th. It's not gonna start its way on 20th and work its way north. It'll be multiple sections.
And Ocean Avenue would try to be opened up sometime during that, so we can obviously do some business when the time makes sense?
Correct, but we have to take into account the
Understand.
needs of the contractor, so when he's not done on October or April 30th, he goes to me, yeah, well, you closed down Ocean Avenue for me, because you had all the traffic and parking, I couldn't operate. You know, I'd imagine for your business, it's more important to have the boardwalk completed by Memorial Day than to have it fully open in January and February.
Certainly. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Questions, comments on the resolution calendar? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on the resolution calendar.
Second? Aye.
Next is a resolution that I have to abstain.
Do you have a motion to approve the payment of bills list?
So moved.
Do a second?
Second?
Councilwoman Becky?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
And I abstain. Next is a resolution awarding the contract for construction of the Belmar Boardwalk, and I happily move for its adoption.
Second.
Councilwoman Becky?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Real quick, I called Paul, our engineer, and I said, how the heck are we so far off? I mean, this is great news, how low this is. He was $10 million off. I actually lost sleep at night trying to figure out how this money would actually come up. So I just want to say I'm very happy how low this came in. I want to vote yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes. This is a resolution only introducing the 2013 Special Improvement District budget. This is just a resolution to introduce it so it can be a topic of discussion, public discussion in January.
Councilwoman Becky?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes. Next is the consent agenda itself. All matters on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Borough Council. So I will move for the adoption of the consent agenda.
Do a second?
Second?
Councilwoman Becky?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes. Next, a very popular part of the program, is the public portion. So a public session is you raise your hand, you wait till you get called on, you come up to the microphone, you get 5 minutes. 5 minutes to the microphone. Anyone like to speak? Anyone besides David or Gene like to speak on any topic that? All right. Well, David and Gene, which one would you like to introduce first? John.
Gene Kramer, Fourth Avenue. It was interesting, before a couple of people mentioned McCleary Park. I passed McCleary Park on November 30th and on Route 35, driving past. There was a large flock of brant that had put down there. I don't know whether you know what brant are, but they're a sea goose type of bird that migrates between the Arctic Circle and the Chesapeake. And typically here in Belmar, they land, especially if it gets rough weather offshore, they land down at Silver Lake. Actually, I was happy to see that they found an alternative, because Silver Lake, of course, is all disturbed and it's unsuitable even for a duck. I guess what I was.
That's why we did it.
Okay. These are good ducks. They don't typically stay here longer than a day.
Are they good eating?
I don't know. I never ate one. They look like the typical Canadian geese, but they're only about 3.5 pounds, the largest. And like I said, they don't stay here long. They just stop here on their migratory path. They were over at McCleary Park there that day, along with other Atlantic flyaway birds. And like I said, I thought it was nice that they found an alternative place to land in Belmar, because Silver Lake was unavailable. I guess what I'm asking is, can we leave that McCleary Park area undisturbed for a while until such time as Silver Lake is more suitable for them. And what I mean by undisturbed is, perhaps not putting lay down materials and so on in that area. And if people kept I don't think dogs are a real problem when they're branded at Silver Lake. They're not domesticated. In fact, you can pretty much walk very close to them. But if people kept their dogs on leashes, then I don't think it would be any problem at all. Just a request.
Okay, thank you. David?
David Schnack, 302 C Street. About the new website, I mentioned a few meetings back that none of the information about past meetings has been, migrated over to the new website. And I noticed none of the campaign disclosure forms or any of that from previous years has been moved over yet either. So it really looks like all our, all the history is still, languishing in the old server there, and I was wondering if that was going to be moved soon.
It will be moved, I don't know about soon. I'll be honest with you, we've been pretty busy.
Yeah, but you have a contract.
Right.
There's a web guy to do it, right?
Keeping him busy with other things as well.
Yeah.
We set up a website, belmarboards.com. We've been doing online acceptance of relief. Believe me, we know, we will do it. We have to do it.
Yeah, the reports have to be on there, right?
No, but when's it gonna get done? I can't give you an exact time. I can't give you an exact time.
Okay, that's it.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it, I think. I haven't eaten dinner yet, so I want the meeting to end soon.
Keep David hungry. Yes, David. Other David.
David Marola, 817 12th Avenue. We used to have a stop sign on 12th Avenue and Bayview Avenue, and at the storm, it got disappeared. I was just wondering if maybe you can find one of those plastic signs that you used to have there, maybe to stick there again, because the cars go right past it without stopping.
We'll find, we'll put it there, we always have one there.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I remember when I first came to town, about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I quickly voted for you in that first election. Probably didn't need my vote, but Charles Bull, 1501 Ocean Avenue. I addressed 6 things at the last meeting, and one of them has been, I think, taking care of the boardwalk, so I don't want to continue on that. Colleen will get back to me with that information, I hope. The other things, I think, I'm going to drop one of them, the timing of the letters. I thought that letter should have been sent out a little sooner. And, I got it on a Saturday and the meeting was Monday night. A lot of people couldn't attend the meeting. And plus, they had to put all their stuff out on that day. I didn't have anything to put out, but I felt for those people that had to do that very quickly. Getting back to, you said taxes are not going to be raised. And, I've always felt that, that the people that benefit the most should pay the most taxes. So I'm not in favor of raising taxes for any homeowners. But as far as the businesses, I think they could pay more taxes. I know that people don't like to hear that, but,
Let us speak, please.
Huh?
I'm asking everyone else to let you speak.
Thank you. But I think that, the people that benefit the most should pay the highest taxes. I really believe that. And I think the other homeowners, if we have to raise taxes for whatever reason, we're not, but they should be raising the taxes higher to the business, because they benefit the most. They're lining their pockets with gold and silver, whatever. My next thing is, I don't know why we did, I spoke to Mr. McGovern after the meeting last week about the bars years ago. I guess it was 86 or 84, that we tried to go back to a 12 o'clock closing. Was that voted on by the town, or was that just approved by the county? I think that anytime you have something like I bring up, where the bars should close early, I'd rest my case if everybody voted to keep them open. But I think, living on Ocean Avenue, very close to DJs. I have to tolerate a lot of noise, a lot of disorderly conduct, drunkenness, and what have you, yelling, shouting, screaming, and that goes on especially on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. And I don't think that's any secret to anybody who lives up there. You know, if you're someplace buried in the town, you probably won't hear all that noise. But I hear it, and I think that, you know, my feeling is that they're not serving any food after 11 or 12 o'clock, and the only purpose of being open is to get people intoxicated. And, you know, and why would somebody want to, you know, be drinking till wee hours in the morning, you know, and carry on ridiculously after they leave the premises? I think there should be some way to control that, okay? So I don't know, I would be in favor of putting that up to a vote to the people and let the people decide. Do they want to keep the bars open? If they say yes, fine. But I know a lot of people would prefer to have them close early. You know, you know.
I appreciate your opinion. I'll let you know my opinion. I would never support doing a 12 o'clock closing.
Why? You're not drinking?
You know, I mean, I just feel, you know, that there are a lot of people that would support an early closing.
If I may,
Okay.
didn't Point Pleasant just have his battle? And I believe the county stepped in and said they were staying open until 2?
No, the
I
state,
don't know what-
the state ABC.
Okay, somebody stepped in.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, okay, all right. I'll be thinking about that. I want to get these other questions out before my 5 minutes are up.
Got one more minute.
One more minute? Okay, the last one is on the police. You know, concerning, I still feel that I'd like them to be a little more polite, considerate, courteous, kind when dealing with people that walk the Ocean area. I had an experience the other night, you know, where I thought and even the person that drove me, I went to a Knights of Columbus meeting and they couldn't believe that they talked to me when I was entering my residence. But I think that they were questioning whether I lived there, and I just feel that, you know, I mean, it just bothers me when people are not, you know, not more polite, more courteous, more considerate, kind, righteous. The other thing is, this summer, if we have to keep the bars open, why don't we have more police at night as opposed to the day?
I just want to say to you, former business administrator and I and Captain Heisman did a car run in the neighborhood of DJs, and it was the Memorial Day weekend, so you couldn't have a busier weekend. The policemen were out in total force. There's something called a shush patrol that's hired by the bars, communicating beautifully with the police in terms of keeping a lid on everything. And I'll be quite honest with you, Mr. Bull, on that weekend, and this is amazing to me, I had not ever done that before, I saw no major issues. When I say no major issues, I saw almost nothing. And the police were there. I can't begin to tell you the number of police that were milling down 18th Avenue, all the way up Main Street, all along the bar areas. I was thrilled to see them and how they were participating and how they were conducting themselves. So I can't say more than that, because I wanted to say to people, I've been there. I chose the busiest weekend, one of the busiest weekends. I think our business administrator did the 4th of July. The only weekend that a borough employee wasn't on board with that was Labor Day. So we had Memorial Day weekend covered, we had the 4th of July covered.
I did Labor Day.
Oh, you did Labor Day. And what did you find?
I thought it was a very smooth, fabulous operation that I was proud of.
At what time at night was this?
I was out way past my bedtime.
I think
1 a.m.
You were there at 3 a.m.?
I think it was like 3:30.
Well, you know, I'm more
And
concerned.
that's what I did, and I was glad that I did it. And I think the bars are doing everything in their power to run good businesses.
Well, I'm more concerned after 2 a.m.
Yeah, I was out till 3:30.
Thank you, Mr. Ball.
You should have came over to where I was.
And
But my point is, I think
Let's take
that,
other questions and comments from other folks.
I just wanted, just one little,
Your 5 minutes is up, sir.
oh, but can I let
No. Anyone else want to speak
I'll bring
who's
it up
sitting
next
and raising
meeting.
their hands and paying attention to the rules? Yes, Kyle.
Rosatello, 14th Avenue, Belmar. When it comes to the FEMA, that's basically a loan. We will be paying FEMA back?
No.
No, okay. That was a quick replacing meters this year?
Yeah.
Okay. You need that boardwalk in order to put the meters up, don't you? Or don't we? Can't have freestanding ones, people steal them.
We're gonna trust the people to just leave the money.
Oh, yeah. Sure. There were benches that were up on the board that had names on them, and one of them had my dad's name on them. Are we gonna be putting benches up this year? And if not this year, next year, since we already had plates on the benches, will we have a choice of being able to do that again? I mean, it doesn't bother me that I would
Yes,
have to pay for another plate. That
second
doesn't
part, but whether or not to be up there this summer, we'll try, but I don't know if we can hold.
But eventually they would
Yes,
probably up
yes,
and
eventually we'll be back up on the boardwalk.
and we would still be able to.
Just don't know the
put
timing
these-
of it.
Okay. Next year is when we're talking about putting the buildings, the structures up, not this year, correct?
Correct.
Question about beach badges. We're gonna raise them like $1 this year.
We were looking to possibly raise seasonal, daily beach badges $1.
Okay, right now, what is the age? It's actually what, 16 and under? 15 and under.
That's right.
What, I mean, there's some of those.
You're not passing for 15, by the way.
Oh. Neither were you. Gotcha on that. What about from like 13 to, this is just kind of a thought, from 13, because these 15-year-olds are, some of them, they try to tell you, oh, I'm 15, and I can look at them and say, well, gee, they just got out of a car from driving. I guess you can't drive at 15. What about having something like from like 14 to 18, like a $10 beach badge, or 13 to 16, just 10, something minimal.
We do
something-
get feedback from our beach staff that they are sure there are some people that sneak by, but in general, it works really well. I mean, like a family of 4 can come to Belmar for what's gonna end up being $16 a day. It's still a good value, Are people gonna cheat the system a little bit? Yeah, that's gonna happen, but
That was just a thought.
I don't know if.
I got a senior badge. You did? You're not old enough. What are we doing to restore and protect the McCleary Park area and the beach, Street Beach?
We're gonna work with our Department of Public Works on
So will
that, and
we
also
be
we'd
doing
like
that?
to, what's that?
The borough will be handling that, or will we have to go through FEMA for that?
Well, we're hoping FEMA would reimburse us for it.
Right.
So for instance, during the cleanup effort, FEMA is gonna reimburse us for the overtime that our DPW and police did because of the storm. So, that's an ongoing discussion. But believe me, McCleary Park is
Because
a
that
priority.
gets real busy in the summer, which is great.
It's a great location. And we did a good amount of work last year to improve it, and obviously after this storm, we need to do more.
When it comes to last night, when Jennifer Nicolay had said how that little boy, it's like I lose it every time I think about it. The little boy that asked, that he wanted to go, what did he want from Santa, was to go back home. Unfortunately, he lives right across the street from me. And I saw them get carried out on the first aiders' backs. Inside their home was over 2 feet of water, and the little kid stands this tall, and he would have never been able to walk out because it was 4 feet, and then some when he got into the street. So good thing the first aiders were there. They did a fantastic job rescuing this family. And so I just want to tell you that I know who he is, and it was an unbelievable rescue. It just,
it gets me every time, because it makes you not sweat the small stuff when you see things on TV and on the news from other countries and other states and other islands. But when you stand on your front porch and you look across the street and you watch it going on in front of you, it just gives you a whole different outlook of things, what's important in life, and what, you know, not to sweat the small stuff. So, but I'd love to see that, and that family is displaced. I would love to see them back, that's for sure. But
Thank you, Helen.
anyway, I know that little boy, and I lose it every time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And, no, someone else wants to go. Yes, sir.
Yes, Brendan Reed, 109th Avenue. I have a couple of questions regarding NJ Transit service to Belmar. First, has there been any consideration given to putting in high-level platforms at Belmar like there are at Point Pleasant?
We would love to do it, but I don't believe New Jersey Transit has any thoughts about doing that anytime soon, unfortunately.
And the second question has been talk about deploying some of their new 26 dual-mode locomotives to the New Jersey coastline to provide one-seat ride service into Manhattan. And I'm also thinking not just for our commuters, but to bring Manhattan, New York City residents to the Jersey Shore during the summer months. I mean, provide a one-seat ride, convenience for them, and certainly help our economy.
New York City residents. Well, you know, we'll contact New Jersey Transit about those new trains. Colleen will definitely contact them. That'd be great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, the very patient man standing in the back of the room. Mr. David Scheck.
Neil Scheck, 410. Glad to hear the gentleman mention the need for raised platforms at the train station. There are small prefabricated platforms that could be purchased at a fraction of the cost of building solid, brick platforms, and I think I'd love the council to look into that.
Can we do that, Colleen, please? Thank you.
Great. My term as a Shade Tree Commissioner is drawing to a close at the end of the month, and I won't assume that the mayor is going to reappoint me because I'm sure there are other people who may be available who are more qualified and more capable. So, like I say, it's been a pleasure to serve under Chairman Brian McGovern. Recently, there was an editorial in the Asbury Park Press concerning the meeting that the mayor went to, meeting of mayors with electric company officials.
Oh, I didn't go.
Yeah, you were in the paper, weren't you? You weren't there? Oh. Well, the editors of the Asbury Park Press wrote an editorial regarding this. It was published December 7th. And I wrote a letter responding to that because they're picking on the trees, And, well, what I said was, your editorial, which they called Communication Wasn't Utilities' Biggest Issue, rightly recommends that utilities invest in infrastructure and system redundancies. But it is absurd to say that mayors should, quote, work to reduce the clout of local shade tree commissions, which often prevent utilities from trimming back or cutting down trees that threaten power lines, unquote. In reality, the clout belongs to the utility companies, which prune when and where and how they think is necessary and mandated by state law. Local volunteer boards seldom have much say in the matter. Shade Tree Commission members want their towns to have healthy, beautiful trees that clean and oxygenate the air, reduce flooding, lower energy bills, and enhance property values. The corporation that owns the electric utility has an obligation to its shareholders that does not include accommodating trees, and they continue to restring wires in the cheapest way, trees or not, rather than invest in the health and safety of their customers by burying the lines as is done in most non-third world countries. The executives say a modernized system is too expensive, but it is also expensive to bring in thousands of workers to replace splintered poles and fallen wires after storms again and again. It is expensive for whole communities to live without power for days or weeks, for refrigerators' contents to be trashed, for businesses to shut, and employees to go unpaid. And when the vulnerable wires succumb to winter ice, the cost, sadly, can be in human life. I don't know if the paper's going to publish that, but now you've heard it.
Well read.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brennan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tom Brennan, 4411th Avenue. I just wanted to thank Councilwoman Nicolay for letting us all know about the events at the school. As a resident and a member of the staff at Belmar Elementary School, I really appreciate hearing it. And I wanted to let you know about a couple more events that are coming up. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the band director at Belmar Elementary School, and tomorrow night is our annual holiday concert featuring our band and our choruses. It's at 7 o'clock, admission is free. You're all welcome to come. And we are also planning an event called the Jingle Bell Bash for Belmar. It's another fundraiser for Hurricane Sandy relief. All the funds are going to be going right to the Belmar Fund for Hurricane Sandy relief. It's a week from Saturday on December 22nd. We have 3 bands are going to play in the school auditorium. We're going to give a concert. Pat Roddy Band, Danny White and friends. Danny White runs Beach Music Studios, and my band is going to play, the Short Blue. Admission is $10. We're going to have snacks and drinks available. But what we wanted to try to do is, I mean, the 10th Avenue Freeze Out and the Belmar Blues were wonderful events, really wonderful events, but really not something you could bring your kids to. And we wanted to do an event that was more family friendly. So the school gave us permission to use their auditorium, put on the concert. That's going to be December 22nd at 7 o'clock till probably about 10. We're also going to have some t-shirts for sale. The art teacher at Belmar Elementary School, Mary Dakotas, she has a family member who made these shirts. They're black t-shirts, and they have a little silhouette of the state of New Jersey and a little cartoon figure going like this, and it says, Jersey Shore, pumping our fists, pumping our baseballs. All proceeds going to Hurricane Sandy Relief Fund. And Bill McKim is going to be selling his calendars there. I don't know if you've seen Bill's photography. He's been able to be right down, pretty much right down at the ocean the entire time because his house is right on Ocean Avenue. He hasn't left. He's been taking pictures from his balcony, and he put together an amazing calendar. It's amazing. He's a great photographer to begin with, but the calendar itself is just breathtaking. And he's going to be selling those there. And again, proceeds are all going to Belmar Hurricane Sandy Relief. So I just want to let everybody know about that, and I hope you see all that.
Mr. Brett, when's our next exciting wrestling match? You being a good coach.
Friday.
Friday.
What time?
It's wrestling. It could be right 3:30, could be 4.
In the gym, right?
In the gym, we're wrestling one of the Howell schools, one of the Howell middle schools. All right, thanks.
Mr. Young, former business administrator, big shot. Had a picture up on the floor.
Bill Young, 303 9th Avenue. Mayor, I just wanted to say I was sitting here tonight and I want to commend you and your business administrator and the friendly leader of the police department and Brother Campbell over there for the great job you guys have been doing. And I'm very surprised that my friend from Bayonne wanted to do a 12 o'clock closing. This guy from Bayonne wants a 2 o'clock closing. Let's keep the course and stay aggressive. Thank you.
No, sorry, Dave. Did you have your hand up, sir? Oh, yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes.
Angela Pfeiffer, 319 Fifth Avenue. Before I ask my question, I just want to thank the mayor and the council for the amazing job you folks did. Made Belmar residents proud. A couple of quick questions. Do we have a schedule for when the bridges will be open, Main Street and Ocean Avenue, and Silver Lake will be filled?
You want to talk about the bridges?
Sure. Bridges actually will be open very soon. And when I say very soon, it's probably within a week or a little more. So Ocean Ave, the county bridge, we are in discussions with them right now on the exact timing and how we will handle traffic flow coming in. Obviously, since much of Ocean Avenue is still closed. So we're trying to work that out in the most constructive way possible. Main Street Bridge, those repairs are due to be completed within the week. And then we will have similar conversations with the state about how to reopen.
Okay. And filling Silver Lake? Are we getting close?
You'll see it starting to fill. You know, one of the issues we had, we were cleaning it all out, right? And they were using the big machines to clean it out. And then there were some things in the middle, so they tried to send men in to go clean them out. And their legs just So they couldn't get to it. So what we're doing now is we're filling up a little bit, maybe about this much, put them on boats, have them go out there and pick up the debris on the boat. And then once they get that debris, you'll see like garbage cans are still there and some other things. Then it'll just fill up naturally. I mean, it rained a little bit, so it filled up because of that. And over time, it'll fill up more and more.
Great. And then just on the boardwalk, I'm thrilled that the bid came in substantially less. But you know, when something sounds too good to be true, we've all heard stories of municipal projects that all of a sudden halfway through have tremendous overruns. And what, if any, protection do we have from the contractor coming back halfway or 3/4 through and say, oops, made a mistake, need more money? Can that happen?
Biggest protection we'll have is a bond. If for some reason they decide to do a lousy job, we're going to collect a bond from them for $6,559,440.
Great, so we do have one. Thank you.
Thank you. That was
Yes, Chris.
It's funny how somebody mentioned something you're going to think. Thank you.
Chris Walters, 14. A couple quick follow-up questions. Mayor, you had mentioned the buy a board program.
Yes.
On the website, I've seen the website, and I know 5,000 for Big Kahuna, I think 500 for Beach Bum. I think it's
$25 for me.
All right.
That's the lowest.
I'm thinking there's a difference in like size, but I don't see anything about, you know, is it a plaque on a wall? Is it your name carved into the planks? Like, can you provide some more details?
Yeah, as you go onto the beach, whatever beach is your favorite, if you're like me, we take the kids to the same beach, we go to 4th Avenue Beach, so there's always a sign, you know, it's like the half circle that says 4th Avenue Beach.
Yeah.
Below that is where we'll list names, almost like if you go into a hospital.
Okay.
And I will list the names,
Yep.
and the big kahunas will be a larger font, and as you go down, the beach bums will be a smaller.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was like, you know, some places do the bricks or the paper bricks, and that's why I didn't know if it was engraved in the.
Yeah, no, we
More
discussed
permanent,
that,
I
but
see what
it's
you're
not.
saying.
I just wanted some clarity on it. I guess the second question, Lady had mentioned beach badges and changing it. Have we given any thought to extending the ticket taking time past, I think it's 4:30 currently, maybe like 5:30 or 6 o'clock? We have lifeguards on beaches on weekends late. And I know since I've been coming down here since little times, you know, people wait until the takers go away so they get on the beach for free. You know, or even like a twilight, you know, ski resorts do like a half day pass, like even, you know, $5 for entry after 2 p.m. or something like that.
Right, and we can look at that. You gotta remember though, as it gets later in the day, we would still have to pay for beach badge people to be selling them, even though there's less people coming, and beach badge checkers to be at every entrance, so.
It also, that's right, no.
You know, and if you push it to 5 o'clock, people will wait till 5:05. You push it to 6 o'clock, they wait till 6:05. So, but the longer you keep them on, you still have that expense, but you're not generating nearly as much revenue as you do from, you know, 10 o'clock to, you know, 3 o'clock, usually 2 o'clock, we generate a tremendous amount.
Just thought throwing it out there.
Sure.
And then the third one is, I know as, luckily I wasn't affected, but everyone in town is affected. They're doing all the building, rebuilding. Have we been here, and I know it's with personnel changes, we don't have a code enforcement officer, is my understanding. Are we planning on, because I'm presuming these people will be done with construction soon and the houses need to be inspected.
We have a code enforcement officer.
Okay, okay.
It's just, it's, you know, to try to keep the cost to a minimum, we keep them part-time.
Okay, that's fine.
So, but yeah, no, there's definitely a code enforcement officer.
All right.
Are you doing inspections now?
Thanks, Chris. Yes, David.
Just real quick, since the cost of the boardwalk seems to be, is apparently going to be so much cheaper than we originally thought, and maybe FEMA might even pay 90% of it. Have you given any thought to, what I'd like to ask is, have you given any thought to rescinding the price increase of beach badges if we don't really need to do it? You know,
I would tell you this, we will only increase beach badges if we feel they're financially necessary.
Oh, good.
Look, if we do the whole thing, you know, the boardwalk and the wall, and we know we're gonna get decent reimbursement for the buildings, and let's say we get 90%, and look, if we don't have to raise beach badges, we won't.
great. Great news. Thank you.
Oh. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, you had it before.
Takes me a while.
You can,
Just the woman behind me question.
just name
Bill Strauss,
and address for the record.
Bill Strauss, 1218 Oakland. When you accept the lowest bid and you've got higher bids, the concern that was going through my head was like, is anybody going to keep an eye on these people and make sure they're doing like a quality job? Because not to say that a $6 million boardwalk isn't going to be quality, but like if you'd have took the bid that was like at say 9 or 10, what's the difference between the $9 million bid and the $6 million bid? Is there quality? Is it that they're charging you more based on what?
Right. Well, I'll tell you, the way the procurement rules and laws work in the state, we had to take the lowest bid.
Oh, okay.
So but we knew that going in. So we set up the bid in a way that we'd only get good contractors. I mean, you have to put up a full bond. This isn't,
Right.
Matt Doherty Construction, me and my brother and a couple hammers. You need to have a real labor force. You have to know what you're doing. You could bankrupt your company if you do it the wrong way. This company has a bonding capacity of $200 million a project. And my concern actually was, look, you guys usually do huge projects. Why are you even interested in this? I mean, are you going to really show enough attention to this? And they told me, Matt, this is the most high-profile job right now in the state of New Jersey.
Okay.
And they said we want to bid it aggressively. They're not gonna use subcontractors. They have their own people that have to pay anyway. So they're gonna bring them down here and work on it.
So does anybody in Belmar though have like a responsibility to be quality control, to keep an eye on them, to go to like, hey, wait a minute, you were supposed to do this and you're not doing that? I mean,
that's what our engineering firm does. So in other words, our engineer gives them the specs. They don't build it to the specs.
Right, a project manager or something.
They gotta tear it up and redo it.
Okay.
They're done.
All right, so, yeah, all right, good. All right, thanks.
But you're very welcome.
Did you not help us in the gym? Were you there?
Well, I came to volunteer, but because of my limited mobility, I asked if I could do something based on that.
I remember you, and I thank you for coming out. I
But
appreciate it very much.
they said they didn't, I really couldn't fit.
But you were there very often.
Well, I was, a couple of times. All right,
Thank you.
thanks.
I have a quick question.
Yes, Council President.
This question is for Colleen, and it's not to put you on the spot, but with the people that are not housed, don't have an opportunity, doesn't look like they can get back in their homes. I know we sheltered some temporarily at Monmouth University and Brisbane. Is there anything in our power to help these people who have no place to go? I know that we're in the mix at Fort Monmouth, but they're only taking 600, but that's countywide. I know that there might be some summer rentals available for people. Could you just enlighten me a little bit as to what we might be able to do? I don't know if we can do anything, but that kind of haunts me, with people who will not be able to get back in their homes temporarily or never. How can we, as a borough, help? Correct. Thank you.
Well, so a couple things just right off the bat.
Thank you.
On our weekly Wednesday call at the governor's office, the mayor and I repeatedly every session bring up the issue of housing. And when Fort Monmouth will be open and when alternative family housing will be made available. The answer is that that this is a statewide problem. This is a regional problem. Fort Monmouth has a capacity of about 600 individuals, and every time we talk to them, they're about a week away from opening.
They haven't opened.
They have not opened it. What we encourage our residents who come into our disaster recovery center here with FEMA is to repeatedly stress that they would like to be placed in Fort Monmouth when it opens, or more permanent family housing. A lot of our displaced families are still living with relatives or family members, are not even necessarily in FEMA subsidized housing right now.
That's
So it's incredibly important. What we stress to our residents is that they go back to FEMA and ask to be placed in FEMA housing. On a more personal level, something that we have had very good success with, although on a more limited amount, and this is something that Councilwoman Nicolay spearheaded, was identifying folks who had summer rentals or rentals that were underutilized, and trying to make sure that families could be paired with them. And so that's an effort that's ongoing. Certainly, we could use many more offers of those summer rentals and year-round rentals to try to make those matches.
Can HUD get involved at all?
We've had preliminary conversations with HUD, and they're still trying to determine. HUD really comes into play in filling that gap between temporary housing and a long-term solution. So they are still promulgating how they're going to respond to the emergency. Not a lot of very quick answers, but we are engaged with HUD.
Now, do we have an idea about people whose houses were totally, the number of houses totally destroyed? I'm getting a 14, but I don't know if that's
It's
right.
come down since then. The last condemned list that I saw, I believe, was 5.
Which is, relative to other towns, it's a lot better, but imagine if that's your house.
That's what I'm saying.
It's everything.
I think about that and I just wonder what we had to offer. Thank you very much. Sure.
And if I can just mention, definitely on a personal level, just being on council and a resident and part of, my children going to the schools, just keeping my eyes and ears open to people that need housing and people who have housing. So I would say the last 2.5 weeks, I was able to match people who had housing, 3 different families with 3 different homes. And, anybody just really just ask people, ask around, see if you can get some places that are available or people willing to help. I think that's kind of half the battle to find places for those in need.
That's great.
And one of the things that Councilwoman Nichols and I had talked about today, once we got the numbers back, I was very excited. I felt great. And then I got a email from a resident in town whose FEMA stipend for her housing's running out. She's in Avon, and she's 5 months pregnant. So, I talked to Councilwoman Nicolay, and she had someone in about, 10 minutes. She supplied me with the name and a phone number for this woman, and it's a guy who I guess has a second home and is willing to let her and her husband stay there. It's their first child. So that's the one thing that's tough about this entire time is as we make
This time of year, too.
right as we make some great strides,
I have an apartment
still
somewhere like that.
That's great.
thank you, Connie. But as we make great strides,
I can, like you say, husband and wife and baby.
thank you, Connie.
What are your charges? I don't wanna know.
Thank you.
All right.
Make great strides for like the boardwalk and stuff. We still have, like,
The big problem.
we still have people that are displaced. We still have children asking Santa when they can move back. So it's gotta be the strangest time of my life, I'll tell you that. But yeah.
Colleen, could we possibly, not to put anybody on the spot or put this responsibility onto somebody, but could we have people, if they do know of housing, call and just give the information?
Maybe we could put something out in the postcard, too. That might be something that you can include in your
There's
mind.
some kind of forum that's set up where it's for people that need, I don't know exactly the website, or basically you go on and you say what you need or what you have,
Yeah, we have
and it's kind of linking people together. And they have a special disaster website that they put up for the MLS of properties for short term, because I've been placing a lot of people. I've been placing people from Ortley Beach down to Point Pleasant.
And if I could just do a quick reminder, on our website, belmar.com,
Yeah.
if you go there, we're still doing the monetary donations, so please spread the word on that. There are also icons, buttons on there that if you click on them, there's one to donate furniture, there's one to request furniture, obviously by board. So please visit the website because we still have those items
Yeah.
out there. And also, we do have furniture. You'll see the list, but we have additional furniture. And I did mention last council meeting that Paint Place took about 200 small, beautiful pieces of furniture and painted them that are available for people who are in need of furniture.
Any other questions? Yes, sir. Well, hold on one second, because you already spoke, so I want to see if anyone else wants a chance to speak. Nope, okay. Let's have you have the last word, how's that sound?
Yes, Brendan Reed, 109th Avenue. First, I want to say that my wife and I are very proud to be residents of the community, and we are just amazed with all the efforts and work came, in advance of, during, and after this hurricane. No other community has done a better job, and we're glad to be here. And the question I have is about the fate of the makeshift community memorial that's right in front of our building, 109th Avenue. Are there any what are the plans with that, or any plans to remove that, or to create a permanent memorial to the victims of Sandy?
I talked about this with both our engineer and our police chief. to try to build something there that's, you know, got a curve to it and sort of an island, they believe is too hazardous, the road is too narrow. But one of the things we are gonna look at, is some type of, impression on the ground itself. So again, it's all asphalt, so maybe something that's stamped concrete or, you know, something that's on the ground, right where and does everyone know what he's talking about, where 9th and Ocean is?
Yeah.
They built this mound and it's
Yeah,
got American flags, and I mean, it's growing, it was all over the country, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it's a news, it's almost like the coverage of that image in so many newspapers around the world. It's just amazing. I tell people, hey, that's where I live, yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna do something, just what it is, we're still trying to figure out, but at some point, you know, when Ocean Avenue opens up, and 9th Avenue is back open, we're gonna have to remove that monument itself and replace it with something that's safer for both pedestrian traffic and vehicular traffic.
Or perhaps something on the, you know, perhaps something on the boardwalk itself at that point
Yeah,
would
no, that'd
be fitting.
Good idea.
Thank you.
All right, seeing no other questions or comments, I'll make a motion to close the public portion and adjourn.